All right, hello there. This is Ron, the nutritional agnostic. It's Monday, July 13th, 2026. And this is coming up on very close to 24 hours in my day one of my water fast in the fourth week in a row that I'm doing multi-day water fast. And as I've said, I'm tweaking my strategy. So yesterday I played ice hockey goalie last night at 8 p.m. I ate my last scrumpet of food around, I think, 6 o'clock. It wasn't even really a meal. I had food about an hour earlier, and then on my way to the game I had a couple of those Go Macro bars, which are very low sugar. You know, they're made to be like keto compatible and stuff, so I had a couple of those on the way to the game. And I had a little bit of Cardio Miracle drink, which is nitric oxide, just to help the circulation and everything. Anyway, that's it. That's the last touch of food of any sort I've had. So like I said, I'm coming up pretty close to 24 hours now. And then, so I played hockey last night, and by the way, we won 5-3. And so of course I was up and down. I'm a goaltender, kicking around, so I was definitely burning off, glycogen and blood sugar. And then today I had to work this morning, which my work is somewhat physical. It's not desk job stuff. Use tools and whatnot. And then right before I came here, I did a weight workout in my weight room with my dumbbells. And I have, for my legs, I have a Smith machine, and I have a leg curl apparatus and such, and a hamstring thing on my weight bench. So I did all that. Many of the weights I probably reduced by 20 to 30%. I didn't really reduce the leg stuff, but I reduced the upper arm stuff a bit. So anyway, so again, that was another attempt to burn more glycogen out and hopefully get into ketosis faster. So, because typically it takes me at least into well into the second day to see any significant color change on the keto strips. So I'm going to be curious to see later. I'll test it, this evening, and see where the keto's at. And I am suspecting it's going to be more advanced than it normally is, because I have actively went for the burning of the glycogen, and also I was careful what I ate. That last thing I ate, like I said, was supposed to be keto friendly, so there wasn't a lot of carbs in those bars. So I'm on my daily walk now. It's mid-80s, direct sunlight, getting my vitamin D, and feeling good so far. I definitely felt very much okay during the workout, and I'm feeling good here. So just want to give you an update report. I'll be walking for a total usually of about 40 to 45 minutes. So as I think of anything worthwhile to say, I'll come on and off the video. I'm not going to just keep on chewing your ear off, just rambling. At least I'm going to try not to. And so I will, I'll get back to you as soon as I have something else to say. Okay, so I did forget to mention, I just want to make sure I mention this again, that I did drink unflavored electrolytes before I worked out. And obviously they're going to contribute to this walking too. So electrolyte supplements are out there. I think the brand that I use is, I think it's called Trace, and it's blue bottles. And then I also, throughout the day, I will take small licks of salt, of real salt, either sea salt or real salt, and that also helps with the electrolyte situation. So my electrolyte drink, maybe I should get it on video sometime, is it's an actual electrolyte supplement. And then the same brand also has one that says trace minerals, which, you know, some of those will also serve as electrolytes. So I do both of those. I think it's about a half teaspoon each in a little glass of water. And I also have separately, I have a potassium liquid supplement, so I take that. And then I also, like I said, I do the salt lick as well. And the other thing I do is I take magnesium. I'll take, I think the magnesiums I have suggest two tabs as a dosage. So I take one during the day and then I take one before bed. It's been recommended by some sources I respect that it's good to take magnesium before you go to bed. So just wanted to mention that. So the last thing I just said there about, you know, doing your own research and whatnot and choosing who you're going to listen to, doctor versus chiropractor versus whoever. I think there's a larger topic there, which is personal responsibility, period. And in particular in regard to your health and well-being. The medical people and such are there as a safety net of sorts. Certainly surgeons are, right? I mean, if you break something or tear something and it needs to be sewn together, well, then you need a surgeon. I mean, you're not likely to do that yourself. I guess in emergencies people have, and I guess in tribal communities maybe they have done some of that. But in general, in our culture, in our time, we're going to depend on a certified surgeon to sew something together, right? But short of that, your general everyday health and habits, your doctor can have whatever opinion he or she wants to have, and their opinions often are going to be based on what they were taught, which is often very much not anything having to do with nutrition and what they would call alternative approaches, because they're just taught that these things are not supported by their science. Well, a closer look shows us that a lot of their science is sponsored, and so the conclusions go to the highest bidder. This is not always true, of course, but it's true often enough that we need to be aware, and we need to beware, and we need to take that responsibility for ourselves. So anytime we accept the treatment that a doctor type offers, we are responsible if something goes wrong. I mean, if they lie to us, of course it's on them primarily, but you didn't have to take it. You know, you can say no. You know, again, your body and your choice. So informing yourself and doing your own research and being willing to listen to thinking outside the box. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm not telling you to take sides with anything. I'm telling you to take the side of the truth, but you have to work at it to get the truth in this particular culture, especially with the strong lobbying power of pharmaceutical companies and such. So if you are interested in sources that I have found useful, I'm happy to share them. You can private email me, or you can put a comment on the video and ask for stuff, and I'll be happy to share what I have, which is not all inclusive, of course. It's just what I found. And if you have good sources for real information on personal responsibility and health and things that we can do for ourselves, by all means share them. There's so much that we don't know about because it's not given to us by our media and our medical profession. So you can either just trust them and go the route that, you know, a lot of people go and take their drugs and live the quality of life that a lot of people have, which is questionable in some cases. You know, people are on lots of different drugs and whatnot, you know, and all these things they call side effects, which are really just damage, right? Side effects are damage that were just a consequence of taking these chemical compounds. So anyway, that's one man's opinion. I'm just trying to provoke some thought. Again, I don't tell anybody what to do, and that's why I am the nutritional agnostic, because I don't trust anybody's word just because it's their word, and you shouldn't either. So please take whatever I say and go research it for yourself. But if you find any use out of it, I'll be very happy to know that. I think another key thought in regard to me is that I'm not telling anyone what to do or even trying to. I'm telling you what I've done and what seems to be working for me. And every year that I tick another calendar year off and a digit on my age, to me, should give more credibility. Somebody who's 28 or 30 telling you this stuff, to me, just doesn't have the same credibility. They may even be right about a lot of things they say, but they haven't had the time to sort of prove it, because those of us that have been through those ages, we know we can get away with a lot more then than we could now. We could eat crap that we couldn't eat now. Like I talked about, man, all the candy I ate as a kid, I could never get away with that now. I'd be a diabetic in a minute if I behaved the same way I behaved at 12 as far as my relationship with candy and sugar. But what I'm saying is that what works for me works for me, and it may be very, very helpful and useful to you to know that, because I'm just another human being. And again, as I age on the calendar, I think I earn more credibility, because every year that I continue to be active and healthy and demonstrate the truth of what I'm claiming, I think it should count for more and more. Again, but I'm still not you. So you need to be you. You need to try things on yourself. But that's why I look for universal things. Not eating processed food, universal. Not processed sugar being a bad idea. As far as I'm concerned, universal. I'm not saying be perfect, although you can be. If you are, congratulations. But be as mindful as you can of that, and be very mindful of how you feel after you eat something. I used to teach adult health class, because one of my degrees is in holistic health, and I used to tell my adult students, do me a favor, because I want you to be conscious. I want you to keep a notebook or whatever, and for the next week till we meet again, every time you eat, I want you to write down what you ate, approximate quantities, just for your own records, and then within 30 to 60 minutes, document how you feel. Because I guarantee you, if you're eating garbage food, you're going to feel bloated, tired, brain cloggy. If you're eating clean, generally you're not going to experience those things. And a lot of times I think we're unconscious of it. I know I was at a time. I just focused on the taste. I'd sit in the movie theater and down a box of Milk Duds, and how yummy is that? But I didn't really experience consciously the brain fog and the spike and the drop in my energy and all the other things. And of course, as I've said, when I was younger, I didn't experience those to the same degree, because our organs were able to rescue us to a certain degree. But now, as we get older, and with more mileage on our organs, we don't get bailed out that easily anymore. So why don't you try that exercise if you never have, because you'll be kind of surprised at what your own consciousness will tell you if you allow it to. So I do want to mention in regard to my joints, because I am 63 and I have been playing hockey for the majority of my life, about 54 years. My knees have, not surprisingly, been diagnosed with arthritis, and they used to be a lot worse. I've done several things, including right now I do these shots called Euflexa, which is hyaluronic acid. It's not a a major chemical pharmaceutical or anything. Comparatively, like I'm not doing steroids or anything like that. And also, in my journey here with the fasting, I calculate that I have lost 20 to 25 pounds, which is 1 to 2 bowling balls, right? That's a lot of weight off the knees. So I'm sure that's contributing to the improved feeling, positive feeling with my joints. But I am attributing some of it to the self-body repair called autophagy, where the body's going in and destroying its bad cells. And as you may know, if you listen to me or others, that autophagy really kicks in hard, typically the 3rd day of the water fast. So I will get some autophagy probably starting now, and I'll get more as the next 24 hours progress, but then the 3rd day is the sweet day on the autophagy. And since I've now done that 3 weeks in a row, at least 3 days, I've definitely done some repairing. So, I don't know, of course, what percentage of which improvement is doing anything, but it's all, in the end, I can report that my knees definitely are feeling better. So, in particular, for those of us over 60, we get a lot of warnings from the medical profession about what we can and can't do, we shouldn't do. We're always told that, you're just getting older, so things are gonna not work as well and all this. And maybe to a certain degree that's true, but I believe, and I've experienced, more importantly, that we have more control over that than we're told. Because, many other people, or even most other people I know my age, are nowhere near as physically active as I am, and they're not feeling as well as I am based on their own reports and their actions. So I encourage you to think for yourself, do your own research, check out non-pharmaceutical funded medical people and what they have to say. Like, good chiropractors, for instance, are very useful to listen to. I've mentioned before, one of the guys I like, he's all over YouTube, is Dr. Eric Berg. I think he's based in DC, but there are others. And there are even some doctors I see out there that are above the norm as far as the knowledge of nutrition and personal responsibility for your health. So seek that out, judge for yourself. Of course, if you are already in an advanced stage with some kind of serious health problems or stuff that is debilitating enough to really be affecting your ability to even participate in these kind of activities, of course you need to do further investigation, either with an MD doctor or with a good respectable chiropractor type, somebody who can give you an intelligent judgment on what you may or may not be capable of. But ultimately, it's always your decision. Remember that. It's always your body, your choice. Okay, so I'm at this point, about 35 minutes into my walk. I probably have about 10 minutes left. Just wanted to tie it up for the day. So again, this is my coming right on the 24-hour mark in my day 1 complete water fast, and 4th week in a row, feeling good. So I will intend to stop back with you about the same time frame tomorrow, depending on my schedule. Let you know how we're doing. Hopefully I'll be in pretty serious ketosis by then, and also autophagy. And so I will, if I'm running on pure ketones, I'll probably be just a little more laid back and probably negotiating these hills with a little bit less oomph. but nonetheless I'll be just fine. So, and I'll know why I'm doing it, and that's, I guess that's the last point I'll make for the day, is know why you're doing this. That's, to me, that's the key, because there'll never be a time when water fasting is simple, easy, but it is easier though. I will tell you, compared to the first time I did this 3 times ago, and now at the same point, it's definitely easier. I guess my body must be more efficient at switching fuel sources. So again, I will check back with you in about 24 hours and let you know how I'm doing. See you then.